There is no denying that there are some intense games out there. They can suck us in and we can become completely immersed and separated from the outside world. But with that being said, some games can take us by surprise with content that leaves us speechless, dumbfounded, or downright disturbed. It's understandable if these moments happen in games that are developed for the purpose of scaring and horrifying the player, but it does happen in many other games. So, here is a list of my personal favourite scary and disturbing moments in gaming history. Please note that these are in no particular order, so feel free to discuss any moments you know of in the comments section below. In 2001, Mario's lovable green brother Luigi finally got his own title on the Nintendo GameCube titled Luigi's Mansion, where he believes he has won a competition, despite entering it, where the prize is a big, beautiful mansion, but is quickly shocked and disappointed to find an old, decrepit dump that is also haunted. Originally planning to meet up with his brother Mario, Luigi arrives to find out that his brother is missing. After being frightened by a ghost, a little scientist named Dr. E. Gadd explains to Luigi that this house was built by King Boo, King of the Ghosts, to house wandering souls and spirits. Now, Luigi is tasked to capture all the souls he comes across in the mansion while searching for his brother. There is a part of the game where the mansion suffers a blackout during a thunderstorm. While talking to Dr. E. Gadd on the phone in the attic, only being lit up by flashes of thunder and lightning through the window, if you are quick enough, you will see Luigi's very own shadow floating on the wall to the right. Many people around the world have called it Luigis Ghost, or Luigi's Suicide. While it freaked out a lot of other players, most people chalk it up to being a glitch or a bug, but is still eerie nonetheless. There is not a doubt in my mind that a lot of people viewing this would have played the Pokemon series in the late 90s and early 2000s, or has at least heard of the franchise. So, I can't really blame anyone for thinking it's just a harmless game for children to quote-unquote be the very best, like no one ever was, and catch small creatures to pit them against other trainers and their Pokemon. But you will be seeing things very different after you hear about the countless stories and theories surrounding the series. But some of these things I would like to cover take place in the small town in the Pokemon Red and Green series, Lavender Town. While every other town is upbeat and happy in the Heian region, Lavender Town, also known as the Purple Town, is home to the gloomy and quiet Pokemon Tower, a tall tower which contains countless graves of fallen Pokemon where their trainers mourn for their fallen friends. Outside, at the base of the tower, you can meet a little girl, who will ask you if you believe in ghosts. If you say no, she will make a point to point out an apparent white hand on your shoulder, which just concretes the fact that this town could definitely be possessed. But the ghost hand was not the only infamous story to come from Lavender Town. In the early releases of Red and Green, in the Pokemon series, there was something dark surrounding the theme song that accompanies the player's entry into Lavender Town. While every other town in the game had happy, catchy theme songs, Lavender Town's was darker, gloomier, and more melodic. There was sadly a peak in suicides and illnesses in children between the ages of 12 and 7 in 1996. The town's theme was said to have extremely high frequencies that only children and young teenagers could hear due to their hearing being a lot more sensitive than adults. Children would experience severe headaches and migraines, but there are also sad cases of children taking their own lives due to depression or thoughts. After mass hysteria from parents, the game was recalled and changes were made to the music. Don't worry though, while the theme itself has been playing in the background as I explain this, it is not the original theme, so you are safe from the original theme's effects. In Half-Life 2, the sequel to Half-Life 1, you play as a returning character scientist, Gordon Freeman, where the game takes place some years after the previous games. Again, like in the other games, Freeman must save the world once again, fighting countless creatures that were once human, now host to disgusting creatures that have twisted and contorted their bodies. The most common enemy you'll run into in the game are zombies, which are hosts to strange crab-like creatures. They are not very dangerous on their own, but large groups could be a different story. But if it's not their horrifying appearance that frightens you, their screams will. If you've never played it before, that's enough to make you want to piss yourself, and seeing them can be unnerving on their own, but their screams and cries are the stuff of nightmares. Makes it even worse when you realise you can reverse the same soundbite that is used for their screams. After reversing the sound effect, you can make out words like "Dear God" and "Help me," filling your head with dread as you start to wonder if the victims are actually still alive, acting against their will in excruciating pain, begging for the suffering to end. Only thing you can do is to end their pain and misery. After all, wouldn't you want the same in that position? Video game developing company Rockstar has always been infamous about secrets within their games, from ghost cars in GTA San Andreas to the Statue of Liberty in GTA 4, and so on. One of the most popular titles in the Grand Theft Auto series is Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's definitely left an imprint on video gaming history. It didn't take long for players on the campaign mode and the online servers to find strange things within the game. Some Easter eggs were relatively tame, like a lot of the likenesses between real-life places, businesses, and other things of that nature and their in-game counterparts. But then there are darker things in the game. Due to the game being out for a few years now, a lot of players know about the ghost of Mount Gordo. There is speculation that an in-game character named Jacques Cranley may have murdered his own wife in pursuit of his own goals, and may have pushed her off a cliff to her death. If you go to the top of Mount Gordo late at night between the hours of 12 and 3, you can find a red pool of what seems to be blood near the edge of a cliff. From a nearby walking track, if you either use a sniper rifle with a zoom-in scope or your in-game phone's camera application, you will find a very apparition of Jolene Cranley Evans. You can't move closer to her spirit or she'll disappear, but she will not hurt you. She seems to just stare at you, hoping that you can uncover the cause of her death and insist in solving her murder. But if you do go over to her, you will notice the name Jacques written in the very same pool of blood. Many game developers like to hide nods to things they're passionate about, like songs, movies, and even other games within their titles. In the similar way this one is hidden in this title. In Dead Island, you play as one of 4 characters trying to survive an epidemic of zombie virus that has infected many of the people on the fictional island of Hanoi. Throughout the game, you can find out that many of you and the other in-game protagonists are immune to the virus, making the fight for your lives tip in your favour a little bit, but the journey is still a hard one nonetheless. Not only will you have to fight zombies, but other not-so-nice survivors who act out their messed up desires on innocent people, as well as the many mutations of the viruses, like boomers, thugs, rams, and many more. One other enemy you can find in the jungle, however, might be a little bit familiar to anyone who's a classic fan of the Friday the 13th series from the late 80s and early 90s. If you are lucky, or in this case unlucky enough, you can find none other than Jason Voorhees himself, or at least a masked wannabe of the undead killer. Don't be fooled though. While he isn't really Jason, he can and most likely will kill you one hit, but you can kill him yourself with a little bit of time and patience, and if you kill him, it'll give you some time to go check out his cabin. If you're lucky, you might even find a chainsaw in there as a prize of your troubles. Much like the previously mentioned Pokemon series, Sonic the Hedgehog was part of many people's childhoods, including my own. Sonic was at the height of his popularity during the early to mid-90s, with his run on many Sega consoles, while being seen as a rival to Nintendo and their poster boy plumber, Mario. Sonic CD was a game that was for the Sega Dreamcast and was a 1993 platformer with the same mechanics as the previous Sonic games, but with some very drastic changes to graphics and sound design. On Sonic CD, it was possible to bring up the sound test menu to listen and play around with sound effects found within the game, but it also served secretly as some sort of cheat menu. If you went to the title screen and pressed down, 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 left, right, A, the sound test would appear for you to use. Seems pretty cool, right? But if you entered the numbers 46, 12, and 25, you would find a strange and downright out of place message. You would see some Japanese text that, when translated to English, would say something similar to "Fun is infinite, Sega Enterprises, signed Majin." For those who are unsure who this Majin person is, it is known for Majin to translate to devil from Japanese. Now, not only do you have a strange message that is supposedly signed by Satan himself, but another creepy thing about this screen is while in the background looks to be a Sonic, either wearing an Oni mask, or some people think it's a Mario's face. I have many memories of my parents telling me I should not go playing games like Doom at such a young age, but I feel like I grew up to be a somewhat normal guy, even though I made a list such as this. I was happy when I finally got a copy of Doom 3 BFG Edition for the PS3, which was a collection of the first two Doom games as well as Doom 3 with all of its DLCs. So, I finished the first two Doom games on Nightmare difficulty, only to find out that Doom 3 went in more of a horror-based direction. But I still loved the experience regardless, and enjoyed seeing how greatly things had improved since I was young. While Doom 1 and 2 were more action, first-person shooters stylized in the gameplay with speed and aggression being its focus, Doom 3 was more of the complete opposite, but in an interesting way. It was more slowed down and the horror and terror was escalated, while adding more spooky and disturbing moments into the game that would catch you off guard. In one of the restrooms in the beginning of the game that you can enter, if you go into the room and go to the stall in the far right corner of the room, you can hear faint whispering from many different voices. Later on, after the demons have taken over the base where you're stationed, if you go back to that very same restroom, you'll see that it is in much worse state than when it was left before. On your left as you enter, you'll see a sink with a mirror above it on the wall. If you look into that mirror, it'll possibly look back into your very own soul, showing you all the sin you carry with you. Back in the day when portable technology was still, in many different ways, in its infancy, Nintendo released an add-on accessory for all Game Boy models, but ceased manufacturing it in 2002. It was essentially a cartridge with a built-in camera for people to use to take pictures and photos with their Game Boys and use those pictures in minigames on the cartridge. There are a lot of minigames available on the cartridges, but there was one with an infamous run feature. When somebody chose the run feature, one of numerous pictures would appear as a distressing tone would play, possibly scaring any unknowing young children. While they would not seem as intimidating nowadays, imagine playing around on your Game Boy late at night with your headphones on, only to witness this accidentally. Resident Evil is without a doubt an extremely popular series with many fans, including myself and a few friends of mine. From Raccoon City to South Europe and many other places around the world, you play as a memorable and beloved cast of characters. Resident Evil 4 has you playing as the returning character Leon S. Kennedy, who is on his first assignment under direct order from the President of the United States to rescue his daughter, Ashley Graham, who was taken by a strange group which turns out to be a radical cult known as the Los Illuminados, which uses a strange parasite called Las Plagas, which controls their victims and has the potential to turn them into disgusting monsters if needed. The parasite not only has the ability to infect humans, but also animals as well, like dogs and other creatures. One of these monsters is the first large boss you have a run-in with on the large lake, which is locally known as Del Lago, a giant salamander measuring over 20 feet in length, which is created by Plaga implementation. If you look in the water before you enter the small boat near the dock, you can see small fish swimming around. You can shoot them, but you cannot claim them, unlike other fish in the game, so you shouldn't try in the first place. You might regret it. It's no surprise anymore that game developers like to hide secrets and Easter eggs in their games. This practice started to gain notoriety in the 90s, and a great example would be the previously mentioned Doom 2. Taking place back on Earth, the Doom Marine returns home after his trip to Mars, Phobos, Deimos, and even Hell itself, only to find out that he was too late. The demons had gotten to Earth and proceeded to kill and destroy everything in their path, even the Doom Marine's pet bunny Daisy. The Doom Marine proceeds to hunt down the leader of the demons, sharing the same name as the level it is found in. The Icon of Sin is a giant biomechanical skull that resembles a goat, complete with large horns. When entering, you'll hear the giant chant something that is difficult to make out at first, but if you were to reverse the chant, it'll become crystal clear.
When the game must kill me, John.
It explains that if you want to win the game, you must kill the original creator of the game himself, John Romero. But the only way to do that is to use the no-clipping cheat, for when you first enter the room you can't see anything except for the Icon of Sin and the demons guarding it. Using the no-clipping cheat allows you to walk right through walls as if they didn't exist at all. If you go through the wall under the Icon of Sin, you'll find a small room containing John's head planted on a spike, which also reacts in pain when you attack it. Killing him will ultimately win you the game and avenge Daisy. And there you have it, my top 10 favourite disturbing moments in video games. Feel free to share your moments in the comments below. This is the first of its kind on my channel, and hopefully I can spice things up for you ladies and gentlemen with something new. I have many more similar ideas in mind, so if you wish to see them, don't forget to like, favourite, comment and subscribe if you are new here. I'm Symbiote Sully, and I'll see you all next time.